It may be a victory Monday, but I am still really angry, and I'm going to tell you why in 30 seconds. It's Victory Monday here on the PHNX Sun Devils show, presented by Branded Bills. Make sure you head to brandedbills.com and use that code PHNX for 15% off your first order. I'm Anthony Totri. Of course, still no Rubis. We had to do away with him because Arizona State won, so he's still gone. We'll see when he returns, but don't worry, don't fret. The Deli Man is still here behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. A ton to get into. I already see some folks amped up about Friday's matchup with TCU coming to town. We'll get into that just a hair. Of course, we got shows every single day this week leading you up to kickoff between Arizona State and the number 24 TCU Horned Frogs. We got some sound from Kenny Dillingham's press conference, so we'll make sure we get to that a little bit later on in the show. Want to start off with a quick little shout out to Short Bus. Short Bus, if I'm not mistaken, has become an MVP, or at least he did on a separate account. If you scroll all the way up, Shane, I'm pretty sure you could see it. So yeah, you're on two different YouTube accounts, I think, Short Bus. Some other YouTube members that we got here, we got Bees, Sharon from our supporters club. I believe there's one more in there somewhere. What's up to everybody in the chat? Again, any questions, comments, concerns that you may have about last week or the upcoming week, go ahead, throw it in the chat, and I will be sure to get to it. Before we get into injury updates and all that stuff leading up to a big matchup for Arizona State, again, with TCU coming to town, I got to get something off my chest. The AP Top 25 poll. I don't know how many of you have seen it over the last 24 to 30 hours. I don't know how many of you care to see it after the latest poll, but I'm here to tell you that it's become a joke. The AP Top 25 poll is not what it used to be, because the pathetic garbage that was recently put out in the latest AP Top 25 poll does not reflect the top 25 teams in college football. And if we're being honest, hasn't really reflected the top 25 teams in college football for some time now. But I think for me, this most recent poll really sent me off the edge, because let's set the scene. And I know this for Arizona State fans may hurt a tad, but trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. The Arizona State Sun Devils had super high expectations to go into the 2025 season. They were the number 11 team in the country. Well, they beat NAU. They fall a spot. They fall to number 12 in the country. That's fine. A rather unimpressive victory against a low-level opponent. It is what it is. You're on the road. You take on Mississippi State, an SEC team in a raucous environment. Ultimately, the game comes down to a final minute touchdown in blown coverage for Mississippi State. They win the ball game. Arizona State, the number 12 team in the country, they fall out of the AP Top 25. Whether that's justified or not, it's up to you guys. But a precedent has been set. The standard is there. If you are a team within the top 15 and you lose to a team that the poll considers maybe worse than you by any margin, you'll drop. So that leads me to the latest poll. I don't know how many of you enjoy Big Ten football, but Illinois, the Fighting Illini, they were the number 9 team in the country this week. And they took on Indiana, another good team. The final score in that game was 63-10. Illinois got boat raced, beat up and down the field for 60 minutes. They lost by 53 points. I don't know about you, but I don't think there's a top 25 team in the country that would lose by 53 points. So where is Illinois? They remain in the AP top 25 after losing to a Big Ten team by 53 points. If I'm not mistaken, the Illini are the number 23 team in the country. There are two teams on the back end of the AP top 25 that just so happen to be in the Big 12 that the AP top 25 voters feel are still worse than a team in Illinois, a middle-of-the-pack Big Ten team that got smacked in the mouth by Indiana. What happened to the precedent? What happened to the standard? You're telling me that the Illini, again, a team that had 63 points hung on their head, deserved to be in the AP top 25? Make it make sense. What about a couple weeks ago? The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, despite having, yes, something we can all agree, a very difficult start to the season against two ranked opponents, was 0-2. Didn't win a game, yet considered one of the top 25 teams in college football. How? How are you a top 25 team if you haven't beaten anybody? In fact, you've played 2 games. You lost both of them. I'm not sitting here telling you that the Arizona State Sun Devils should be ranked. I'm not saying that they should be in the AP top 25 as of this week. But make it make sense. If you have a standard, stick to it. If you don't, acknowledge it. But Arizona State, regardless of how you feel, should they be in the AP top 25 or not? Should they have a number next to their name? I think we can all agree on one thing. That a team in Arizona State with high preseason expectations is now sitting at 3-1 on the season. The only loss coming to an undefeated Mississippi State team in the SEC. The win last week for the Sun Devils, a very, very competitive, hard-fought, gritty win on the road against a team in Baylor that had arguably the best aerial attack in the country. They lose votes. AP top 25 voters saying that win made me think less of the Arizona State Sun Devils. Make it make sense. Because you know who's the number 25 team in the country? It's the BYU Cougars. Do you know what BYU did this past week? They struggled for the first 15 minutes of the game against the East Carolina Pirates. Final score about 34-13. An unconvincing win against a lesser opponent. Similar to what Arizona State had week 1 against NAU. But BYU hasn't played anybody all year long. Arizona State on the flip end, Texas State, an undefeated team. Mississippi State, an undefeated team. NAU, if I'm not mistaken, a 3-1 football team. Baylor, a really solid football team that now has 2 losses, one to Auburn, one to Arizona State. You watch college football, you watch Baylor play football, you tell me they're not a good team. So this nonsense that is now the AP Top 25 poll, I think we can all agree it's time to take out the trash and leave it in the dumpster. We'll wait for the college football playoff rankings. Because as it stands right now, that AP Top 25 poll means about as little to me as gum on a shoe. It's nothing. It's useless. It's pointless. It's fuel to the fire for an Arizona State team that is already very, very hungry going into one hell of a matchup against a team in the Big 12 that does have a number next to their name, the number 24 TCU Horned Frogs. I'm curious. Let me know what you guys think of that AP Top 25 poll that was put out there. And I think, again, we can all agree at this point It is what it is. Make sure you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe button, you drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. JJB in the chat says, Totri, what does the PHNX Wildcats rankings mean to you? Well, it's funny you bring that up, JJB, because we've got my Big 12 power rankings that we are going to get to on the other side of our first break. Look, normally, I'm going to be honest, I feel very confident with what's going on top of my head with my hair. Today, not so much. I really wish I had a branded Bills cap handy. Look, we got one behind me. We got a branded Bills cap right down there. It's one of what feels like 100 different versions that Branded Bills has for Arizona State hats. They are super, super sick. Shane on the post-game show just the other day was rocking the Sun Angel Collective one. They have so many awesome hats. Highly recommend you go check them out. And the best thing about Branded Bills, among many things, is the fact that it doesn't matter what you need. They've got you covered. Snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, tees, Branded Bills. They've got you covered with performance and style, which is super, super big. Make sure you head to brandedbills.com and use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. Again, Arizona State plays TCU this Friday, so if maybe you're looking for a weekend of fun, you want to post up and watch the rest of the college football slate on Saturday and all the NFL games going on Sunday, we'll look no further than Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You can visit any one of their 4 locations: Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Vequiva, Santan Mountain, to experience the best that the Valley has to offer. Now, personally, I love Wild Horse Pass because we've had so many PHNX events actually over at Wild Horse Pass, and it's given me a first-hand look at all of the amazing things that you guys can actually do when you're over at the casinos. If you want to win at the casino, well, you could do that. If you want to hang out by the pool, they got you covered there. Maybe a nice steak dinner, well, you could do that. Room service, they got you covered. All sorts of things you could do over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. But when you get there, you got to remember one thing. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
We got some breaking news.
We got breaking news.
Breaking news. The Territorial Cup time has been set.
Yes, it is a late one.
For the first time. When's the last time that happened?
I have never in my years covering Arizona State seen a Territorial Cup start that late.
Yeah, just a night game in general.
It's 7 p.m., right?
Yep, 7 p.m. Do you like that?
I mean,
it's gonna be cold.
Yeah, it's the Friday of Thanksgiving week. Yeah. I mean, it's weird. It's gonna be different, but like I do kind of like the idea that this is a game now, rivalry game that's under the lights.
Well, it's gonna be pretty standalone too.
Yeah,
so you can see that BTA action on national TV.
I love it, man.
Which they might have to turn it. They might have to do what they did to the Vikings game.
Just change it completely.
Just change the channel.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be here for that. Dude, 48-3.
That play's gonna be rocking.
Oh, it's gonna be a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun at Mountain America Stadium. I do feel bad for all the ASU and U of A fans that are across the country. Especially on Eastern time, considering that game does not start until 9 p.m. Eastern.
But if you live in Australia, you're in luck.
What time does it start if you're in Australia?
Don't do that to me.
Like you brought up the Aussies, man. I don't know what to tell you there. For all the Australian listeners, we're working on telling you the time.
Right now it's 6:17 in the morning in Brisbane. So that's
about 7 hours difference.
Yeah. So that'd be noon. That's beast.
Wow, noon. Big noon kickoff.
Come on.
Oh,
big noon
man.
kickoff, mate.
There you go. Oh, my goodness. Let's go ahead and get straight into some of these Big 12 rankings that we got here. Because normally we do these separately, but when it comes to the Big 12, man, it's been a wild week. And it's going to set up to be an even wilder rest of the season. I do have the Texas Tech Red Raiders atop my power rankings this week. I think given what they did to Utah over the weekend, especially considering that they lost Baron Morton for a portion of that game and their backup had to come in and was very serviceable. I think the Red Raiders are the clear number 1 team in this conference as it stands right now. I do feel a little bit bad for the Cyclone fan base because Iowa State was at the top here. But the fact they didn't play last week means they do indeed have to drop to that number 2 spot. I do think Iowa State, though, with Rocco Becht and what Campbell is doing over there, they are a really solid team, and they are certainly going to be in contention for that 1 spot as the season moves along. Now, this is where I imagine some fans from other teams are going to get a little irritated. I'm just going to let you know right now, I don't give a flying crap. The Arizona State Sun Devils are the number 3 team in this conference. Say what you want about Baylor on a national perspective. They're a hell of a team, and Arizona State walked into their house, took their lunch money, got back on the plane, and flew back to Tempe with it. Arizona State is certainly trending in the right direction. Excited to see what they look like this week against the number 4 team in my power rankings, the TCU Horned Frogs. Watch out for Josh Hoover now. Josh Hoover slowly and silently becoming one of the best quarterbacks, not just in this conference, but in the nation. Hoover throwing 5 touchdowns this past weekend. A really, really special talent at quarterback. Not to mention they have a wide receiver in Eric McAllister, who is just behind Jordan Tyson in terms of receiving yards, coming off just a ridiculous game this past weekend. Moving to the number 5 team in my Big 12 power rankings this week, it still is the Utah Utes. I did have them a little bit higher over the last several weeks, but when you get beat at home the way that Utah did by Texas Tech, tough to make an argument. I get it. Texas Tech's a good team. They're a really competitive squad. You lose like that, you have to fall in the power rankings. Nonetheless, I still believe that Utah is a really, really good football team. I think they are going to have a really good season led by Kyle Whittingham and then, of course, Devin Dampier at quarterback.
We might have overrated Devin Dampier after the first couple of games?
Potentially, but I don't think it's just an us thing. I think it's an everybody thing.
Yeah,
I think
that was a royal we.
Yeah, it's a royal. We royally all did that. Yeah. Moving on to the number 6 team in my Big 12 power rankings. That is the Baylor Bears. I understand they lost. They were higher in my rankings last week, but you lose at home, regardless of it being a game-winning field goal. You do have to drop. The defense for Baylor, I thought, played better than I thought they were going to, in all honesty, and I think Arizona State's defense did a better job against Sawyer Robertson and that Baylor offense. I do believe that Baylor is still going to be in the thick of the Big 12 championship conversation as the season moves along. Kind of a cakewalk schedule from Baylor here on out. The number 7 team, who happen to find themselves in the AP Top 25, that is BYU. Sitting pretty at number 7. I know the BYU fans are going to be really, really unhappy with me. They always are unhappy with me, but probably especially this week, considering that I don't even have them in the top 6 in the conference. And I'll tell you why I don't have BYU in the top 6. And this isn't really any fault of their own, but they've played Portland State, Stanford, and East Carolina. They have played the epitome of nobody in college football. I can't put you in the top 5 if you haven't played anybody that is worth anything. Stanford's 1-3 on the year, and that's the only Power 4 program that they've played up until this point. Now, of course, BYU, not that they care, will have a chance to get into my good graces this weekend when they take on Colorado at Folsom Field. Say what you want about the Buffs. I think that will be a really, really solid game. We'll see what BYU is made of there. The number 8 team that I have in my Big 12 power rankings is the Kansas Jayhawks. Kind of on the same note that everybody was maybe a slightly too high on Utah. I think everybody was slightly too low on Kansas. I get West Virginia is a whole lot of nothing all the time, but the Kansas Jayhawks, man, they're putting together really decisive victories. I get it. They haven't necessarily played anybody either, but Jalen Daniels has been really impressive. LaShawn Williams at running back for Kansas has been an absolute dog. One of the guys that maybe isn't getting enough love in the conversation of best Big 12 running back this season. Watch out for the Kansas Jayhawks, especially considering they were a team that got hot at the back end of last season. They appear to be red hot as it stands right now. Now, because Kansas jumps, a team that didn't play last week, the Arizona Wildcats, they fall to the number 9 spot in my power rankings this week. I get it. People may not enjoy what I have to say about the Arizona Wildcats, but it is what it is. A team, as it stands right now, that is playing much better defense, I would argue, than offense. Special teams looks kind of sloppy, but again, maybe they cleaned it up over this early bye week, and they better have, because they have one hell of a test coming their way this week. The Iowa State Cyclones, fresh off a bye, one of the best teams in this conference. That is going to be your show me game. If the Arizona Wildcats are for real, show me against the Iowa State Cyclones. Number 10 on my power rankings, another team falling because they didn't play. That is Connor Weigman, Willie Fritz, and the Houston Cougars, a team that I think is definitely improved from a year ago. We'll see how improved they are. They do fall to number 10 on my list. Now, Colorado at 11, UCF at 12, the Cincinnati Bearcats and West Virginia Mountaineers falling 13 and 14, and then the two worst teams in this conference. They stay put. Oklahoma State and Kansas State, 15 and 16, respectively. Shane, did I miss anything here? Because Tony, I know a Wildcat fan, says that I have potentially been day drinking.
No. I mean, no. Like, Arizona was 8 on yours last week, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Kansas looked really good. Like, it's a week-by-week thing. So, I don't know. I mean,
Am I alone in my thoughts that BYU is getting some maybe unjustified love?
Yeah, because nothing's happened yet. The only thing that I might have a problem with is Cincinnati.
Okay, you think they're better?
I think they're better than UCF and Colorado, yeah.
See, so I was thinking about UCF because Cincinnati dropped. I had them above, I think, both those teams. But again, Cincinnati didn't play this week, and UCF got a big win against Bill Belichick in UNC. I feel like Cincinnati hasn't really played anybody either. It's tough because we're still so early on in the season that like there's the occasional team that has played like a decent non-con schedule or a decent non-con opponent, right? Like Baylor, obviously seeing SMU and Auburn. So you put a little bit more stock into maybe even those losses than you would like what UCF and Cincinnati have done in non-con in terms of wins. I get it. Like John right there, putting 2 and 2 Baylor over BYU is absolutely wild. I hear you because BYU currently hasn't lost. But if you look and watch those games that Baylor played, they're a field goal away, obviously, from the Arizona State game going differently. And then the Auburn game, like the tough like start to the season against an SEC opponent, I would take an SEC loss over, again, like I'm putting more stock into that than I am BYU beating the school of the deaf and blind. Like it's just, you have to. Yeah.
Plus, like the biggest thing for BYU is, and these power rankings, is their power rankings are not standings. Like it's not.
It's not standings.
Yeah, like it's all eye test. I don't know. And asking why Utah is at 5 is a little crazy to me. Like
they were just the number 17 or 16 team in the country.
Yeah.
I think they were 16.
I mean, we may have overrated that offense a little bit, but that defense was still really good until the wheels fell off.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that Texas Tech Red Raider offense is supposed to be one of the best in the country at scoring points. It was last year. There was like no points scored in the first half. So I don't know. I mean, I think Utah's going to be just fine. Kyle Whittingham, I think, has gotten that train back on the tracks.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Well, guys, let me know in the comments what you think of my Big 12 power rankings through week 4 of the college football season. I can't believe we're already here, but we're a third of the way done with the regular season. It's kind of a sad thing to think about because you only really get 2 more thirds for at least the majority of these teams. Not Arizona State.
These thirds are this first third is all crust.
It's gross. Yeah. Well, you don't like crust?
Well, no, I do like crust, but it's like bad crust.
It's burnt crust.
Not even burnt. It's just like there's too much crust.
Too much crust. I hate pizza that has too much crust, man. Or were you talking about?
I was talking like
the moon. Too much crust.
No, I was talking about a sandwich.
You're not a crust on a sandwich guy?
I am a crust on a sandwich guy, just not too much crust. It's like
overly crusty.
Yeah, like I have favorite parts of the sandwich and I have least favorite parts of the sandwich.
I think that's totally valid. Some folks in the chat saying that U of A should be last. I hear you. I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, despite what the internet tells me about what I do.
We'll. I mean, you said it, but we'll totally see this week. Like, this is.
Yeah, this is a big test week.
They played 2 teams that aren't real, and then they played a team that is halfway, into the shadow realm already.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're going to learn a lot just from the games this week. You've got TCU, obviously, against ASU, ASU at home. That should be a very, very back and forth game. Again, Josh Hoover sitting exactly at 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 2 INTs. You've got Houston that I think they should have a game where they're going to have to get up on the road in Corvallis, which is a tough place to play against an Oregon State team that hasn't won yet this season. If Houston truly is improved, if they are a better program than they were a year ago, that's fine. Go on the road, show us, take care of business against a bad Oregon State team. And that's also a Friday night game, so that should be interesting. Houston coming off a bye. Cincinnati and Kansas at Kansas. Again, show me if Kansas is
real.
If you're that game, if you're that team and you want to go from a middle of the pack to like a true contender, then you should handle Cincinnati, and then vice versa. If Cincinnati wants to prove, hey, we are better than what people think we are, if you go into Bill Snyder family, or if you go into David Booth Stadium and you win that football game, then yeah, I think people are going to have to look at you a little bit differently than they are right now.
Can we just agree though that the Big 12 is like so fun?
It is so fun because it's so like, it's just so competitive.
Yeah. Like
right?
All of these games are going to be must-see TV.
I hate the narrative that like the SEC and the Big Ten is like ultra competitive. Like I hear it, but I think it's ultra competitive at the top.
Big Ten football makes you want to vomit.
Big Ten football, it should make you want to vomit.
Legitimately makes you want to vomit. It's horrible.
It's not worse than ACC football. Sorry, Dabo. We can lay you to rest.
No, dude, like ACC football is like at least fun to watch. Big Ten football, you get 17 to 10 games every single week.
Or you get 63 to 10, like you got in Illinois, Indiana.
Yeah. I will say, Indiana.
Good.
Very good.
Yeah.
You know, one thing, I know this is like totally
so off the rails.
But one thing that somebody pointed out, I forget who tweeted it. Somebody pointed out, people like completely wrote off Indiana after they lost to Notre Dame in that college football playoff game.
Solid program.
When in reality, that's Notre Dame, who
Notre Dame.
What did they do last year?
They were in the national championship game.
And it was obviously, as you said, at Notre Dame, and they competed the whole game.
Yeah.
Like that team is good.
Really good.
Legitly good.
It's going to be fun, man, to see some of these teams.
And sadly, I think USC might be good now. Again. I know.
I don't know, man.
I don't either.
I really don't. I don't know.
John put this well earlier. He goes, Arizona looks legit.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the perfect way to put it. A lot of teams look legit when they play nobody. And then you face a real opponent, and we'll see, obviously, what you look like.
Cover your ears, Sun Devils fans, real fast. The thing that I've said this whole time, though, is Arizona looks night and day from last year.
Like, yeah, they look better.
Way better.
100%.
Way better.
100%.
And it's good for the conference if they're better, and it's good for the Territorial Cup game if they're better, because I don't think it matters what type of team they throw out there. This team's going to kill them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think, and I've been pretty gung-ho on this. I don't think, I think for every 10 Territorial Cups that Kenny wins, they'll lose one. Genuinely. I genuinely feel like that is what we're going to be looking at, because I just think that Brent Brennan and Kenny Dillingham are on two different planets when it comes to coaching. I know that Kenny would disagree with me on that, and he would give all the praise and love to Brent Brennan for what he's done for the program. But I will sit here and absolutely say that they are in two different realms of coaching football, and Arizona State definitely has a good one when it comes to this coaching staff. But enough on the national scale. Let's focus a little bit more into this upcoming matchup for Arizona State against TCU. We do have some sound from Arizona State head coach Kenny Dillingham. I promise we will get to that. Some very, very interesting clips from what he had to say, and then we'll get into some injury updates and some personnel updates for the Sun Devils on the other side of this quick break. Look, I'm going to tell you right now what my weekend looks like, because this is going to be a very, very long week. Short week for the Devils, which means it's a long week for the PHNX Sun Devil dudes. Look, I'm going to be sitting there Saturday watching the entire college football slate with pure edibles. It's just what is going to happen.
I'm so excited to have a Saturday where I can just drink and watch football
It's going to be fun.
Oh my God.
It's what we live for. And like I've told you a million times, pure edibles for me really intensifies the experience of watching sports. But it's not like you're just sitting there eating like gummies that taste like weed. For me, that is a red flag, a no-go. Pure edibles, on the other hand, taste like candy. And they're not covered in sugar like all their competitors. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know how they do it. Pure is a full-fledged candy company offering gummies, kicks, which are their version of Starburst, chews, which are soft candies like caramel, and then hard candies as well. If you're looking for the uplifting effects, well, they got you covered there. Or if you're somebody that maybe has some trouble sleeping, you could try their sleep support gummies that work really well. I'm speaking from a firsthand experience here. Make sure you go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispensaries across Arizona. Look, I don't know about you guys, but finances and money can be tricky sometimes. So you need to have somebody you trust when it comes to your finances. We'll look no further than Desert Financial Credit Union, especially if you're an Arizona sports fan, because it's the only place that you guys can actually show your team spirit every time you make a purchase with those exclusive debit cards that are branded with your favorite teams. Of course, if you're here in the Valley, they've got some for the Arizona Cardinals, personal favorite. I mean, no surprise, the Arizona State University branded debit card. Make sure you go get your hands on it. But when it comes to finances, again, there can be a lot of questions. Sometimes it could be tricky. Well, the Desert Financial team, they've got financial experts who are committed to their members, and they're committed to helping you with all of your financial needs, whether that's checkings or savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Plus, they're trying to give you money in bonuses, guys. When you open a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. Spelled, by the way,
with a D.
Yeah, it's just the number 200, by the way.
So now that Sawyer Robertson's not going to win the Heisman.
Yes.
Who's going to win the Heisman in this conference?
In this conference?
Yeah.
I think now it goes to Hoover.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what people would expect. Again, Josh Hoover has been every bit as elite through the first several weeks of the season that Sawyer has, if not more, right? 1,000 yards on the dot, 11 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. And he's completing 68% of his passes. Like,
who does ASU have after the bye after TCU? Or is it a bye after TCU, right?
It's a bye after TCU, then Utah. At Utah.
So maybe Devin Dampier figures it back out, and then he becomes the Heisman favorite, and ASU just keeps killing Heisman favorites.
That could be it.
From the Big 12.
They could 100% do that, because then they'd have Texas Tech. We'll see if Baron Morton's...
No, it's not going to be Baron Morton. It's going to be that freshman. Baron Morton's been fired.
He's been fired?
That
he
freshman,
played well, though.
Will Hammond, right?
Yeah, it's Will Hammond. Is he a true freshman?
Yeah, I think he's a redshirt freshman.
Gotcha.
Maybe.
So he's a fake freshman.
I know he's a freshman.
He's a fake freshman.
Was Sam a fake freshman?
Yes.
Okay.
100% a fake freshman.
Cool.
And he looked every bit of a fake freshman. If you're a redshirt freshman, you're not a freshman. Like, let's be real. You spent an entire year around a college football program. Like, you understand how it works. I get, like, the playing in it is different than sitting on the sidelines. But, like, you've been around the program. You are more likely than not familiar with the system. Like, that, for me, is, like, what a redshirt freshman does is so less impressive than what a true freshman does.
He also committed to TCU, or Texas Tech, on December 12th of 2022. He graduated in 2024.
That's crazy.
That's commitment.
Been committed for a while now. That is wild. Do we have the Dilly stuff ready to rock? Do we have some of those ready to go?
We can get to, let's see. Sorry, somebody stole my thunder.
No, it's okay. It happens. People steal thunder all the time, man. I get it. Look, when we do have the Dilly sound available, obviously we've got him talking about TCU on maybe changing the aggressive nature of the offense in decision making. But in all honesty, I kind of want to hear what he has to say on close games, because I made a very big point of emphasis on the post-game show on social media, calling out Damon Dog of PHNX Wildcats, because he's somebody among many others that we're talking how, Arizona State wins close game after close game after close game, but it almost doesn't mean anything. So Dilly was actually asked today at his weekly availability on Mondays, just does he feel like his team is maybe a little bit more prepared to win these close games? And the answer was yes.
Yeah, I think we harp on game situations all the time. I think our guys are ready for situations at the end of the games. I think our guys are ready to win at the end of games. We don't always get it done, but I think we've won in so many ways. I mean, we've won off offense driving to score. We've won off kicking a field goal at the end of the game. We won off of a defensive interception at the end of a game in a 4-minute. We won versus UCF off of a 4th and 2, going to be power read quarterback, gut cross, safeties make the play, right, to end the game and seal it. Like, we've won so many different ways in these close moments that I think our guys are ready for those moments in the game for sure. And that has nothing to do with coaching. Some guys, they make plays in the biggest moments. I mean, I wish I could tell you we do something they make plays in the biggest moments. And I think we got a bunch of our guys on our team who perform their best in the biggest moments.
100%. Right? I feel like that's what I said on the postgame show. Like, yes, the coaching is great, and Kenny's never going to give himself credit for being a really good coach, especially when it comes down to the stretch. But, like, as long as Marcus Arroyo and Sam Leavitt and Kenny Dillingham have been a trio at Arizona State, this team has lost one-score game. I believe they're 6-1 in one-score games with that trio.
And that's with the trio, gotcha.
Yeah,
I was going to say, trio. And that's with the first year where they lost a bunch.
The first year it was, I think, overall, I think they're 7-2 in one-score games. Like, overall, since Staley's been here, I think that could be incorrect. But I mean, with this regime, right, with Marcus at OC, with Sam at the helm, with Kenny at head coach, this team wins close games. They just find ways to do it. And I get there's probably a portion of the fan base that wants ASU to beat the brakes off of every opponent. It's just not like a reasonable thing to think is going to happen every single week, especially in this conference. Like we were talking about, such a competitive back and forth conference with so many really good teams, really good coaches, really good quarterbacks. So yeah, you're going to find yourself in close games week after week. And all that matters is you find ways to get it done. Right. And I think, again, this past week, being able to beat a Baylor team on the road with Sawyer Robertson in a game that did for a second kind of feel like it was slipping away is absolutely massive for this team. And it again just furthers the idea that if ASU is close, if this game is close and ASU has a chance, if ASU has the ball, watch out. Because these guys know what they're doing. They've been in every situation, like Dilly said. They've won games off a interception from Javen Robinson at the end. They've won it off runs with Cam Scadaboo. They've run it from throws to Jordan Tyson from Sam Leavitt. And then they just showed you something that they couldn't actually do last year, which was win it on a game-winning field goal. They did that. They can beat you any type of way if the game is close. And they've been, they've experienced it all. In short bus, Sam wins at home. Yeah, Sam Leavitt has never lost at Mountain America Stadium.
Never lost
at Mountain America Stadium. I know some folks are going to think that's a jinx.
He tested the jinx.
I tested the jinx
against who was that? When you tweeted that?
That was the last home game after they won.
Who'd they beat?
Texas State.
Okay.
Yeah,
it took me a while.
It was dancing with fire there. Yeah. Totally. The comments throwing me off here, man. Y'all are definitely throwing them out there. David, yes, 100%. We will get to that at the tail end of today's show. We definitely need to say something about that. Yeah.
Before we move on, I just wanted to talk about the when you mentioned the trio, it made me think of this. I want to get the chat's pulse on Marcus Arroyo after last game.
Yeah.
Because everyone had Petzing level anger at
it's definitely not as bad as what the Arizona Cardinals are doing offensively.
Well, it never has been.
Yeah.
But people were upset, and rightfully so. The defense or the offense did not look very good in the first 3 weeks.
No.
Definitely looked a lot better this week. And the production wasn't as good in the backfield this week in terms of yards per carry, but they ran the ball a lot more.
Still committed to it.
And I think what's more important than not more important because production is the biggest thing. But what is almost as important as having good production is controlling the game with what you want to do.
Yeah.
And Really Brown didn't have a breakaway run. No one did. But what they did was they were getting 3-4 every time and controlling the pace of the game. And that helped keep the ball out of the offense's hands, which is something we talked about last week. Was a big key to success.
100%.
So I do want the chat to weigh in here. Like, how are we feeling? And Totri, how are you feeling about Marcus Arroyo now?
Yeah. I think, again, I don't know how much of it was they're just trying stuff out for the first couple weeks of non-con to see what was happening. I don't know how much of it is truly an investment in Sam Leavitt of like, hey, we think this guy is, a true, the best quarterback in the country, can do X, Y, and Z, which I think he's very, very talented. But I don't think Marcus and Kenny have necessarily set Sam up for like early season success. And that's something that they've acknowledged, right? Kenny even said it as recent as today that he didn't feel like he set Sam up to succeed with that Mississippi State game plan. So I think, again, you saw a lot more growth from Sam in this offense last week. I get it wasn't pretty in the red zone a number of times. Like, I totally understand that. But at the end of the day, Sam was a game manager last week. That's what they needed him to be. They needed him to manage the game. And when they needed him to be a hero and march down the field and put together a game-winning drive, he did that, right? Again, 22 of 32. We said it on the post-game show, and Dilly said it today. Like, if he hits on one of those deep balls, we're talking about a guy completing, nearly 70% of his passes, responsible for 3 total touchdowns, probably going over the 300-yard mark in terms of passing yards, right? Which, again, you would be drooling over every single week if Sam did that, right? 3 total touchdowns, 70% completion percentage, and 300 yards. So, like, there's just some things, I think, communication-wise, maybe comfortability-wise, that are still needing to be sorted out. But I would argue that this latest version of the Arizona State offense was the best you've seen. And I think you can make that argument every single week, right? I think there are obviously folks that are going to probably push back on that because of the way that ASU handled Texas State. But I think, again, like, the evaluation for me and how you look as an offense, a defense, special teams is against real competition. No knock to Texas State, but you were on the road at Baylor. You played a team in your conference, and that means a little bit more to me, right? Again, you see, like, I get it. Texas State has a better record than Baylor. If you watch that Baylor defense, you saw some of the personnel that they have. Those are real college football players. Those are Division I athletes out there in Arizona State offensively. I get the ground game wasn't perfect, but it felt like there was a balance, right? Which is something that we had been harping on, to your point, Shane, of like, yes, the production wasn't necessarily there in the ground game, but there was a balance. It wasn't, hey, Sam, throw the ball 45 times a game and we're going to see if we can win, right? There was still a commitment to the ground game, which for me, yes, you do that for a couple different reasons. A, you're setting something up, right? Which we know Dilly loves to run the football and then open it up with the play action. So you set up the play action time and again when you run the football as often as you do. And like Shane said, you limit the possessions of the opposition because you're controlling the clock, you're controlling the pace of the game, which we knew ASU probably needed to do if they were going to beat a team like Baylor, who was just throwing it all over the yard the first couple weeks of the season. And then 3, it shows you have a commitment, right? You have a commitment to an identity, which was lacking in the first 2 weeks for Arizona State, specifically the first 3 halves of football. And you're committed to the ground game. You're committed to what we heard all offseason of, hey, you have a trio of running backs. Where are they? Well, they're there, right? Now you're getting to actually see those backs in action. So I get it. It hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been pretty, but you find me a team not named Ohio State that's been perfect through 4 weeks in the season. They don't exist. Like, I think this team is going to continue to get better. It's exactly what we saw from ASU last season, where, again, we showed you that graphic how often in 2024 of Sam's stats from the first half to the second half. Like, there is improvement. And it's not just improvement in players and production. It's improvement in play calling. It's improvement in situational football. It's improvement in schemes. And I think Marcus is going to improve the same way that some of these players have improved.
Marcus did last year.
Yeah.
Like, the play calling and the offense got so much better as the season went on. Totri, don't look at Lee Corso's comment or you're going to vomit.
I'm going to vomit.
He said, some of you guys need to remember Bo Baldwin. You loved that guy.
Who loved that guy?
You did.
No, he looked like
Totri didn't like him the second that he got hired.
I'm there's no reason to tear a man when he's down, so I'm not going to do that for once in my life.
What you were about to say was going to be nasty.
Yeah,
so
yeah. It's like I said, this is a family program sometimes, so I'm not going to target Bo Baldwin too hard on that one. But kind of on the same token that you're going to see the offense grow and change. Kenny was asked today about the like, do you change how your aggressive style, your aggressive nature by the personnel that you have, right? Because over the first couple weeks of the season, we've been so accustomed to seeing Dilly and Marcus say, screw it, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, let's go, right? We want our guys out there. And we've seen maybe Kenny take a little bit of a step back from that super hyper aggressive play calling and decision making, because guess what? Arizona State has a kicker. So is that something that's going to stay? Well, the answer, potentially.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to change based on our personnel. So we kick field goals at a high rate. We're struggling right now in short yardage. So we get short yardage down there. We're probably going to kick more field goals than we have in the past. And that's just, we're changing our personnel. I think every week and every game is a little different. That's why I don't just copy paste the book in terms of the statistics, because I want to be able to manage the flow of the game for each individual team, each individual game. So, I mean, we kicked 4 field goals. I mean, that's just, it pains me to say it out loud. Like, golly, how do we kick 4 field goals? Like, that's usually not a recipe for success, kicking that amount of field goals. But it also shows the amount of drives we put together on offense, the ball control we created on offense, all of those positives. It's like, man, if we finish 2 drives, we're talking about an offensive resurgence. But that's the name of it. You can't get lost in it. So we challenge the offense a few things to get better at. I'm not going to talk about it here, but what I really want to see that I think could be the difference, and I think if we do that, you're going to see us take that next step because we're so close there.
It really is funny how it's like every game it's a play or two away from the narrative completely changing, right? Against Texas State, it was the Jaron Hamilton like touchdown or the kickoff return for a touchdown. We're talking about ASU winning that game now by 40-ish points if they score those extra 2 touchdowns. Same thing kind of here. You're probably a couple plays away, maybe even a couple play calls away from the offense looking much, much more synchronized than it did specifically in the red zone. So we'll see. We'll see if you can get through this short week against TCU with that being the narrative, with it being like, wow, look at this offensive resurgence that we've seen from Sam Leavitt, Jordan Tyson. They're getting other players involved, right? Like that, I think, is going to be something to keep an eye on, not just this week, but through the remainder of the season, maybe even more so than this week after the bye week, right? What does this offense look like after the bye week? I think is going to be certainly something to monitor. Before we get too deep into what Dilly had to say about TCU and Josh Hoover in that upcoming matchup, I do want to give some personnel updates that we did get from Dilly. Starting, I think, with probably the most important one being Xavier Alford. Still going to be out this week against TCU on a short week. Again, you go back to when Dilly first announced that Alford was going to be out. He mentioned a few weeks. So a few weeks in theory, depending on verbiage, how you guys evaluate that, could potentially be the Utah game. We will see as practices and as availabilities continue to move on, but still as it stands now, no Xavier Alford, no updates on Montana Warren. So we will get a look to see if he is practicing on Tuesday. Again, you'll have the Big 12 injury report coming out in the coming days, so we should get a better evaluation on who's available injury-wise. Dilly did say today that it is likely that Jalen Moss is still doubtful to play on Friday against TCU, still dealing with what he's been dealing with. So not really an actual update on what he's been dealing with. I believe it was an illness from what we were told. So still nothing there. Some other personnel updates. You should expect to see a heavier workload for Kyson Brown this week. A little bit more involved in the offense. Last week, he was healthy, but it wasn't necessarily the workload that we're accustomed to seeing Kyson Brown have. Expect him to be a full go this week, assuming no setbacks. So that should be a big boost to this ASU offense. Kenny did acknowledge Derek Eusebio's presence in that game against Baylor. He said you could probably expect to see a lot more Derek Eusebio in this offense as well, which as president of the Derek Eusebio fan club, that's huge. That is huge that you're going to get more Derek Eusebio out there. Also, I don't know how we've gone this long in the show without saying happy birthday to Derek Eusebio. Happy birthday, buddy. I mean, as the president of the fan club, that's on me. That's 100% on me. I apologize. I'll be better. But yeah, expect to see Derek Eusebio more involved in this ASU offense. And then an interesting one, maybe Jalen Clem. You may see a little bit more Jalen Clem in this offense as a rotational piece along that offensive line. Dilly acknowledged that he was impressed with
I think he just liked the tackle.
With Clem's tackle. And just honestly, more so impressed with the competitiveness, right? Somebody that is a competitor that on every single rep, doesn't matter what he's doing, where he's at, he wants to compete. He wants to be the best player in the field. And Dilly said, he really respects that type of mentality. And that's the type of players that he wants out on the field. So expect to see a little bit more from all three of those guys this week. That'll be huge. Again, especially as somebody who wants to see more Derek Eusebio in this offense, with Jalen Moss being out, likely out another week. Expect him to likely be your starting slot receiver for Arizona State, which I think should provide another jolt for this Sun Devil offense. But what's it looking like on the other side of the field for ASU and TCU? Dilly asked point blank, what are the challenges that this TCU Horned Frogs team presents? That's what he had to say.
Yeah, the quarterback. He's a really, really good football player. Can extend plays, can make throws in the pocket, anticipates throws, knows where to go with the ball. He's really good, and then they have weapons outside. And then Coach Bryles, it's amazing what he does on offense. It's so much different than what he used to be, and it's so creative, and it's very, very explosive, not just in the passing game, but in the running game. They're very creative. Different formations every week, trying to create leverages. So what they do on offense schematically, and then combined with having a quarterback and the skill players, and then their offensive line play well. But just that anytime that quarterback is a dynamic player, which he is, we got to find a way to contain him. Yeah, it's different. I think every guy you play is different. We can't let this guy extend plays. We knew last week it was going to be quick game, hot throws, balls over the middle of the field. This week, this guy he makes all the throws. He extends plays and makes explosives. So we've got to be able to contain him, and not contain him for rushing for 150 yards, but contain him from extending plays, not getting sacked, and then extended plays create explosive plays, and that's what we got to prevent.
It's not just Josh Hoover, right? These quarterbacks are getting a lot of love. Jordan Tyson leads the Big 12 in receiving yards. Eric McAllister, wide receiver at TCU, is number 2 there. I believe he's coming off a monstrous game. 8 catches, 254 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Could be more than that, honestly. That's just me ripping off the top of my head. 8 catches, 254 yards, 3 touchdowns for Eric McAllister. On 13 catches this season. He's averaging 24 yards a catch. So he is putting together a marvelous season. He is somebody that you are 100% going to have to figure out where he is at all times, because he does present a unique skill set for this TCU offense. But overall, again, and we'll get into it more as the week goes on, of course, doing shows Monday through Friday. But overall, I don't think when you look at this TCU offense, it's almost less threatening than the Baylor offense, because we knew Baylor had Bryson Washington, right? One of the best running backs in this conference. I look at TCU's ground game, and there isn't really a guy that scares me. Kavorian Barnes, 156 yards so far. Jeremy Payne, 110 yards. Trent Battle, 110 yards. They utilize about 3-4 running backs, or at least they have to this point in the season. None of them are like Raleek Brown. None of them are guys that are going to just carve you up because of what they do on the ground with the ball in their hand. They're there to have a ground game. From my estimation, it is all about what Hoover does through the air. Again, 1,000 yards on the dot, nearly completing 70% of his passes, 11 touchdowns, 2 INTs. But the big one for me is Josh Hoover through the games that they have played this season has only been sacked twice. So that is something that Josh Hoover has been able to sit back in the pocket and really do whatever he wants. Also has been really good at keeping plays alive when pressure does get there, when the pocket does collapse. And Dilly acknowledged that today as well. Like you can't let him really escape the pocket and make some of those magical plays happen. You have to find ways to bring him down, which ASU has done a really solid job in terms of pass rush this season. So that'll certainly be a really fun matchup.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think this is signaling that the offensive line is good. as much as it is signaling that they have not played a team with a pass rush at
Yeah.
all. Because, I mean, there are situations, but I don't think you have a good offensive line and you have a bad run game because the offensive line is only good at pass blocking and not run blocking. That doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
So I think there are definitely holes that you can find in this offense, and one of those holes is the A, B, and C gaps.
Yeah.
Literally.
I'm interested to see again what the what the game plan is here from Brian Ward in this defense. Like, do you sit back and play man coverage? Do you opt to play zone? Do you send pressure this week?
I think you do a typical B Ward D Cord sim pressure game.
Sim pressure
where
game.
you just
Chaos.
They're only sending 4 every single play, but the 4th guy is Keith Abney off the edge, blindside. Josh Hoover has to sit out a play because he got the wind knocked out of him.
Well, and I think again, like for me, if you're gonna send pressure, if you're going to get a quarterback off his game, I'm gonna be honest with you, and folks may not love it. I'm Ghost Rouser. I'm calling your number on the first play of the game. It's a safety blitz. Like
Ow.
I'm 100%.
I felt that.
Like that's the type of like that's the game I want to make it. I want Ghost Rouser to go in there, licking his chops, deliver a blow to Josh Hoover, a legal blow, please.
A legal, not a legal blow.
A legal hit, please. And like, yeah, I want Hoover to feel it. That's the type of game that we're going to play. You come to Mountain America Stadium, we are going to smack you in the mouth, and your best player is going to know it. Like, especially if he's your quarterback. That's what I'm doing there. If you want to leave Ghost in coverage, fine. I'll send Boogie, right? Like, one of those hardest hitters, leash is off. Go get Josh Hoover on that first play of the game. Sharon, the perfect way to describe it. Legal but nasty.
Yes.
That's what you need to do. Short bus, Boogie and Ghost. That's the world we live in, where your safeties, those are the names. Those are your safety duos, Boogie and Ghost. The guy you're waiting to get back is the 100-yard landlord. So it's a hell of a group of safeties and for this ASU defense. But yeah, that's what I'm going with. Again, we'll see what Brian Ward opts to do with a really tall task ahead. I really just before we get too deep here, and I guess we've already gone almost an hour. I want to just say thank you and shout out to everybody in the chat. We got a great Victory Monday show here. Over 70 of you at a certain point. Short Bus becoming an MVP, a part of our supporters club, along with Bees and Sharon and everybody else that's already a part of that. That is awesome to see, especially on a Monday. And again, we're going to be going all week long, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, some pregame action, some postgame action, all sorts of fun going to be on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. So make sure you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe button, and you drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Yeah, Short Bus becoming a YouTube subscriber twice here, or a part of the supporters club twice on 2 different YouTube accounts, I believe. So appreciate that 100%. If you are a part of that supporters club, throw up that forks up here. Again, you guys are the only ones that have access to those special emojis, but it's super easy to become a part of the supporters club. I believe that link is right there. It's
right there in the description, and it's pinned to the chat. If you are wondering, yes, the Sparky emoji is still being made. I got word from the manufacturer that there was a shipping issue. He got out.
Sparky?
Yeah.
Oh no.
A little mini guy.
He was hunting the horned frog.
Yeah. He got him.
We got him, ladies and gentlemen.
The horned frog is dead.
Wes Bezzy in the chat saying, what's a horned frog to a devil? Let's get a W and get back into the top 25. Mountain America should be rocking. P.S. I have been to 8 straight home games, and we've won all 8. Hashtag good luck charm.
Never lost.
Got to be there. You have to be there. Mountain America Stadium. Make it another sellout for the Sun Devils. Again, I said it earlier. Sam Leavitt never lost at Mountain America Stadium. Look, I want to give one final shout out before we get out of here, but I'm going to do it in overtime, guys. Look, if you're watching on TV, the party always continues at gophnx.com. How can we do a PHNX Sun Devil show without acknowledging Mr. Sun Devil himself, Cameron Scadaboo? Your New York Giants starting running back. Sorry, Tyrone Tracy. Hope the shoulder heals. But my goodness, Cam Scadaboo is just, I mean, you can't not love watching that guy play football. You can't. And if you do, you don't love football.
Yeah. The touchdown was the most scat touchdown ever, where I'm sure 90% of the people that were watching that game, they called the touchdown. They're like, no, it's going to get called back.
Yeah.
So we see that so often. And immediately I was like, I think he scored. I literally think he scored. He literally levitates in the air.
He does.
Like, and I know what the difference between figurative and literally is. That was a literal levitation.
For 7 missed tackles.
7 missed tackles, had 125 or something all-purpose yards.
Yeah.
Like,
led the team in carries, rush yards, rushing touchdowns, targets, receptions, and receiving yards.
Yeah, it sounds like ASU.
It's awesome.
So, want to hear something sad about this, though?
That he broke Charles Omenihu last night in pass pro.
That
was my favorite play. Screw the touchdown. I bet you that was probably his favorite play. You're telling me there's an NFL edge rusher. Charles Omenihu is how big? Can we get like a
6'4",
quick
280 probably?
Like,
let me see.
An edge rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Charles Omenihu is
6'5" is what he's listed at. What I see.
How much?
6'5", 280.
Wow, so I was pretty close.
And I now it's all starting to make sense. You know where he went to college?
Charles Omenihu went to where?
Texas.
Oh, there you go.
So a little get back for Scat there.
Yeah.
If you didn't see that play, that was my favorite one. It looked like he literally broke a Omenihu's ribs on that
crazy.
play.
I know people were pointing out the helmet. I'm like, no, it wasn't the helmet that did it. It was his shoulder.
Yeah, 100%. There was another play where it was like toward the end of the game, and he got a catch, and he just like it was him in a corner, and like you'd assume that Scat's just going out of bounds like a normal running back would. No, Scat helmet straight in your sternum.
Yeah.
Got like an extra 2 yards or whatever.
That was disgusting.
But like when he plays, it's like this is how he played. Like he imposes his physicality and will.
He seeks contact.
And if he challenges you, and if you do not go full speed at Cam Scatterby, you will get hurt.
Yeah.
Like that's just the nature of it. I was telling my brother this morning as a Chargers fan, like Derwin James and Cam Scatterby hitting each other might fracture the Earth's core this Sunday, because like I can't even imagine the intensity of the physicality between those two players. That's like, it's old school football. And I think that's like what people love about it. Aside from the fact that he's somebody that like is like physically somebody that you wouldn't necessarily would think brings that level of physicality.
M says CTE has Cam Scatterby.
Yeah, literally. CTE has Cam Scatterby.
So last night I saw that he was going to get more touches, and I'm like, this is a guy who can like I was not hoping for an injury, but like if he takes over the backfield in some type of way because of either that or he just is better, which I assume he's going to be as a running back, then he's going to get more carries. So I bet him to have 100+ rushing yards. You know what the total odds on that were?
Last night?
Yeah. Before the game.
Probably plus like 700?
Plus 3,600.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was juiced when he started getting the brunt of the carries.
It was 100 rush yards?
Yeah, 100 rush yards. And then I regretted not doing 100
all-purpose
because that would have been around the same odds. Because oh man, he was so awesome last night, and I cannot wait to see him continue to carve out a spot in this backfield for the Giants, because he is going to turn that offense into something that it hasn't been in a while, I think.
We said it before he was drafted. Like all 32 teams could use a Cam Scatterby on their team, and I think he showed last night, even in a loss, like he 100% has a place in the NFL as a starting running back one day. And it looks like he's going to get his shot earlier than later.
Week 9 when Jackson Dart gets the nod.
I don't even know if they're going to wait.
Yeah, it might be
till week 9.
Dude,
man.
that 4-down sequence when Russell Wilson just kept throwing the ball to the end zone last night.
It's tough.
I was cringing.
When it mattered
After
most.
like literally one of the best games Russ has played since Seattle.
Tough. Absolutely tough.
Probably the best game.
Sharon says in Totri having him on his fantasy football team. That's right, Sharon. And Sharon, I have easily the best team in the league.
I actually, Totri, I was scrolling your fantasy team while I was on the toilet 2 nights ago.
Nice.
And I was like, or last night, I was like, I out loud said, damn, it's a good team.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Totri and I are going to be 2 of the only undefeated teams this week, most likely.
100%. 100%. And Espo tried to trade me. He sent me, I was looking at it this morning, and he tried to send me a trade. He wanted Josh Allen and Cam Scatterby for Ricky Pearsall, who doesn't have a quarterback, and Justin Herbert. He tried to pull up my heartstrings for Herbert. Sorry, man. I'm going to keep the best quarterback in the NFL alongside one of, if not my favorite running backs in the NFL. Like, come on. There's zero chance that was going to happen.
That's our favorite running back.
100%. Even if he has to sit on my fantasy football bench, he's not, like, I'm not shipping him anywhere,
I don't think you should. Who'd you say that for next week?
The Chargers. So
yeah, I wouldn't start him.
maybe the week after.
Yeah.
We will see. But guys, that is going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devil Show. Again, appreciate everybody hopping in today on a Victory Monday. We will be back on Tuesday with some.
Stop.
Yeah. Okay. Stop. Wait a minute.
Leave a like.
Leave a like. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Like I said, we'll be back on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all the days pretty much during the week. So make sure you show up 1 p.m. tomorrow, same time, same place. And if you enjoyed today's content, give the show a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow the Deli Man at Shane Deef.
Just, being right as always.
Being right.
Scott's going to be good.
Facts. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.